At number 10, we have Patisserie Peach. I know I pronounced that wrong, just leave me alone. It's the first time I've seen this word in my life. With this costume, Peach makes cookies for the villagers and flies over cakes, dropping frosting on them to match it up with the photos. I like to call this game the B-button mashing simulator. So there's a baseline amount of variety in this mode, but really this entire game comes down to just pressing the B button. There are instances where you have to time your baking, I guess, to be able to get more cookies to the ravaging villagers, and I don't know, I'm really trying to say more about this because I try to be in depth, but I'm gonna be honest, and this will probably be a theme for some of these costumes. I've been sitting at this script for 10 minutes and I can't think of anything else to say about it. Like, I'm sorry, but this was just not a good idea, and this is by far my least favorite Peach costume. If it was like the Cooking Mama games, where Peach maybe had to work a little bit harder to make more varied recipes, I think the story thread would have had a bit more potential, but there's just no variety in both the controls and the actual concept. It's like they took a Mario Party minigame and said, hey, let's make this an entire mode. I guess visually these levels are cool, with the second act being Halloween-y. It's something. Okay, I'm done trying to write words now. Aye, those gens saith that Shakespeareth struggleth with doth writing blocketh. But this is just a load of bullshit. Number 9 is Detective Peach. I started off completely hating this one, and near the end I sort of liked it a bit more. Don't get too ahead of yourselves, game developers. That's like a 3 out of 10 when you translate it to me. With Detective Peach, you have to hunt for clues to solve a mystery, but occasionally there are other elements, such as stalking and evil feet. The first level specifically really turned me off to this gameplay style, as it was just really boring and did not captivate me in any sense of the imagination. There's really nothing stopping you either from just using your trial and error to progress. All you have to do is really hold B to do a strike of intuition if you feel like something is sus. The game does give you clues for what you should use your strike of intuition on, but honestly, you don't really have to pay attention to any of it if you go for this trial and error method. Like, if your strike is wrong, all it does is take away 1 heart, and if you lose your hearts, you just lose some coins. So it's really not a big deal to brute force your way through these levels, and once you know them once, you never have to actually do any gameplay again on various playthroughs. With losing hearts, I get that they needed something to punish the player with, but this just doesn't feel like it was the solution. But also, if this entire level ended if you were incorrect, that would be way too punishing. So I would have probably just preferred if this mode was entirely scrapped, but I know there will be a few Detective Peach fans in the chat who hunt for clues to dox me now. Good luck. The first level was just about finding some art or something. I don't know, but the second level I felt like actually had a bit more juice behind it. Basically, you have to stop a bomb from blowing up a building, hunting down the evil feats that are scheming at an apartment. Not sure how that made it into a Nintendo game, but you know what? It was a vastly more entertaining level than you would think. But yeah, maybe this mode just wasn't for me. Number 8 was Mermaid Peach, also known as Disney plagiarism. Was a red wig unavailable? So yeah, the aesthetics and scope here are neat, but the actual gameplay just really isn't that enjoyable. All you really do as Mermaid Peach is stop and sing, so you can manipulate the sea creatures into doing your busy work. These little fish can open shells, move vines, and if this sounds boring, that's because it is. Now, this very simply could have just been a coincidence. I don't think Nintendo was intentionally trying to copy Disney here. Not everything that's similar to something else has to be a clone. I just feel like this costume was a wasted concept. It could have been cool to do something like the Zora from Majora's Mask. Why does every game developer get together and decide water levels always have to be the biggest slogs to get through? It's an actual injustice. The actual aesthetics and music in water levels are always so beautiful and charming. But no, the gameplay, the thing people actually care about, is just sluggish trash in like every video game I've played. Maybe it's some sort of industry insider joke, but I'm tired of it, man. The only other thing of note is at the end of these levels, Peach sings, requiring you to time the direction she faces as the fish swim towards her in a giant orchestra. More plagiarism, but you know what? At least The Little Mermaid is an actual musical, so I guess it's more of a cheeky reference. Let's see how that holds up in court. Next up is Sword Fighter Peach. This mode is just okay. The levels are sort of just generic platforming levels with a bit more of an emphasis on fighting goons. You know, I would have probably liked this costume a bit more if there was any depth to the sword fighting. I'm not saying it needed to be Skyward Sword or anything, but anything more than just pressing the B button would have gone a long way. The only reason I really place this level this low is because there's a pretty big emphasis on dodging attacks with a well-timed jump, usually with the bosses. It's not that hard, but sometimes it can actually be a tad precise or even awkward to figure out the timing, at least on your first playthrough. Again, not hard, just sort of a weird learning curve that made me enjoy these levels a bit less. So, did you enjoy Sword Fighter, Peach? Well, you better enjoy the next 5 Peach transformations as well then. Kung Fu Peach is pressing the B button and fighting more evil feats. Yep, I'm actually really struggling to say anything further about this. There's a few other ways of fighting, I guess. You can spin around a pole. Okay, I mean, I've never seen anyone in a Kung Fu movie do that, but I haven't seen that many Kung Fu movies anyway. You can jump between the poles and kick, I guess. Variety. The bosses are similar to the sword fighting Peach levels, as while they are kind of 2D classic fighting game style, you just kind of have to time your button inputs. It's all there is to it. They die quickly. A real Kung Fu artist would be laughing. So I do want to clarify real quick that I'm not really upset that a few of these are similar. I know I'm presenting a bit of a negative tone regarding some of these costumes, but I do find the side-scroller levels fun enough regardless. It's not like I play these and have a bad time, and I do prefer action levels to baking cookies or moving fish. If anything, I'm just complaining that a few of these feel pretty samey, and I feel like they could have chosen other costumes or just tried a bit harder to make these different. Ninja Peach, being next on our list, is fairly similar as well, but they do try to make this at least a bit more different. There's more of a stealth aspect here, and I did enjoy that as opposed to outright fighting. You can sneak in the water with a lily pad straw. Those actually exist because I really want one. You can also sneak by holding up a piece of paper against a wall. Okay, I don't know who that's fooling, but it works, I guess, as well as hiding in patches of grass ripped straight out of Pokemon. What's fun about this mode is that there is a bit of platforming diversity, being able to jump off of walls, and I did get some enjoyment out of that, keyword being some. At number 4, we have Cowgirl Peach. I won't lie, the voice acting for this is really funny.
Well, shucks.
Kind of a side note, but Peach has a much different voice representation than in previous Mario games, which at first made me think that they replaced Samantha Kelly, especially since Mario Wonder indicated that the Mario cast was being replaced at large. But no, it's still her apparently, just with a much different inflection and kind of a deeper voice. And honestly, it was very well done. Peach says something funny at the end of every level, and it makes this game stand out well enough without being distracting from the Mario lore either. These levels are fine, although very similar to the last few regardless. You now use your lasso to attack, which can also be used to pick up and throw barrels. There are a lot more horse riding missions here. This game in general really does love its automated levels, which are usually press the A button and jump. That's it. Honestly, I really got a kick out of the scenery here. It's the most this game comes to feeling like a genuine play, and I mean that as a compliment because most of them do feel pretty accurate. The set design and lighting is just perfections. I used to work on plays. In fact, I set up a light to record this video. I can say that. Number 3, we have Dashing Thief Peach. This is Batman. Now this is clearly a reference to Batman Live. No, it's definitely not. I just wanted to look cute and say that this exists. Anyways, I had a good time with this costume. It has the same old similarities to the others, but you can now latch onto platforms with your ropes, you can maneuver stealthily on certain architecture, and the movement just has a really good flow to it. Number 2 is Mighty Peach, which again is sort of a beat-em-up sort of costume, but look, Peach can pick up a goddamn bus so the thieves can run to safety. Now that's cool. Here's my $60 plus tax and shipping and handling. There's a lot they actually do with the Mighty Peach costume, and while it's still largely just a beat 'em up sort of deal, I had a good time with these levels. I think the reason this costume works so well is because the game just accepts its cheesiness here. I'm not saying this game takes itself that seriously or anything, it definitely doesn't, but when the game outright embraces being more of an exaggerated cartoon versus trying to convince me Peach could be a goddamn ninja, the vibe goes a long way here. My favorite Peach costume though, and number 1 on our list, is Figure Skater Peach. Now, sadly, even at its best, I can't sit here and tell you that this is some masterpiece of the arts of gaming or anything, but you go fast, it's fun. These levels are based around, and how could you ever guess it, swift movement on the ice. Taylor Swift is flying her private jet to sue me for saying that line. You jump, you get the thieves to skate with you in unison, it's just neat. The general flow of the gameplay here is so fast-paced and smooth to control that it easily became the type of level I looked forward to the most. Again, not a masterpiece, but sometimes a good old 7 out of 10 time can still put a smile on your face, okay? Don't be a Grinch.